Good morning. Welcome to the news at 7. Making the headlines this morning, Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, assures of sustaining rule of law in the country. Southeast traditional rulers call on political parties and candidates to address issues of poverty. For the second time, NHIS Governing Board suspends Professor Usman as Executive Secretary. And on the foreign scene, fears of tropical storm Vicente increases as storm depression in coast of southern Mexico is detected. My name is Chidima Oranwa, and now the detail of the news. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, says President Muhammadu Buhari is committed to respecting human rights and entrenching rule of law in Nigeria. Mr. Malami made this assertion when he led members of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy to the Nigerian Prison Service, Abia, Anambra State. Correspondent Chibuzokoye completes the story.
Breaking newsmen shortly after the visit, the Attorney General, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Special Duties, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. William Alo, said the committee was inaugurated on the 28th of August 2018 to help President Buhari in the discharge of his responsibility of granting pardon to deserving convicts and ex-convicts as provided for under Section 175 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. Malami said that the purpose of the 12-man committee is to primarily identify and subsequently recommend inmates who committed federal offenses and deserved of presidential pardon, and noted that the committee is expected to be guided by rigorous criteria in ensuring that only deserving persons are considered for pardon. Mr. Malami equally pointed out that the committee, as provided under the Constitution, may also recommend a less severe form of punishment imposed on a convict for an offense, among other mitigating measures, adding that pursuant to the recommendation of the committee, the President is expected to grant pardon to deserving persons after due consultation with the National Council of States, and disclosed that the reconstitution of the committee after 3 years of inactivity is part of initiatives of the Buhari administration aimed at decongesting the Nigerian prisons and supporting the criminal justice.
Our purpose of this visit is to look at inmates who were sentenced based on federal offenses. We want to look at their cases and to recommend to Mr. President, in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to recommend to him to grant pardon based on some listed criteria.
The Attorney General of the State and Commissioner for Justice, Barrister Ujunwogu, who spoke on behalf of Governor Willie Obiano, appreciated the committee for the visit, even as she noted that what they are doing is in tandem with what the current administration in the state is doing, as Governor Obiano exercises his power of prerogative of mercy 4 times yearly and pledged the state government's total support to the exercise.
Most of the time also, the governor himself comes to the prison to do the process of pardon. So we appreciate the staff of Anambra State prisons, and we appreciate the good things they have been doing with the inmates. Even the inmates that came in, they look fresh. They don't look like people who are in prison, meaning that you are taking good care of them. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. The government of Anambra State appreciates that.
During the visit, inmates who were convicted on various federal offenses were interrogated, and the committee promised to make honest and sincere recommendations to Mr. President for onward action. In Oka, it's been Chibuzokoye for ABS News.
The Anambra State Post-Primary School Service Commission 2018 and 2019 Career Convention for Senior Secondary Students in Public Secondary Schools in the state has officially been flagged off with a call on parents and teachers to help in early discovering and nurturing of talents of children and students for maximization of divine endowment. Correspondent Emmanuel Kunkwo completes the story.
The event, which took place at Matamabli Secondary School, Umod, in Idemili North local government area, with the theme Career Exploration for Informed Decision-Making, attracted students, parents, school directors, principals, and guidance and counselors of the 258 public secondary schools in the state, exposing the students to some professions and skills as well as their requirements. The chairman PPSSC, Lady Joy Olase, during her speech, reminded the teachers, parents, and guidance guidance of their responsibility of helping the children to nurture their God-given talents, and warned parents against imposition of career or course of study on their children, as the act poses enormous danger on the children's life and future.
Parents likewise, forget that thing. If you know all you need to do is to guide and help him so that he will perfect in that area, and not to force him to do what he knows he cannot do.
Earlier in an opening remark, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Anambra Broadcasting Service, Nzeuche Nwora, who chaired the occasion, charged young people to embrace creativity and culture of reading in order to survive in the present era of creative economy, where oil industry and white-collar jobs hold less prospects.
Economy and knowledge economy, that's the area of focus. That's the area of technology, information technology, and that's, you can sit in your house and learn how to do coding, and then you can create an app and you can sell your app and you can make money for yourself and for your parents. You must prepare today to meet the challenges and opportunities of today and tomorrow. Because what happens in life is preparation means opportunity, it leads to success.
The Zonal Director of Education, PPSSC, Ogidi Zone, Dr. Uche Chibo Okeke, who described the theme of the event as apt, as it is designed to guide the students to pursue courses and training geared towards realizing their potentials and fulfilling their life's plans, commended Governor Willie Obiano-led administration for numerous innovations brought in the education system of the state, which has brought honors to the state both from the national and international levels. Speaking, the principal, Mata Amabli Secondary School, Umoji, Lady Ebele Okoli, encouraged students not to be guided only by the choices of friends, peers, and parents, but to choose areas of personal interest and ability in order to live an honest and fulfilled life.
The convention is an annual event in Post-Primary School Service Commission, Anambra State. It is an instrument through which PPSS ensures that quality is maintained and standard is achieved. Occasions like this offer the students the opportunity to learn about the world of work. It opens their eyes to the unlimited career options they can pursue to live an honest and fulfilled life.
In a paper presentation on the theme of the event, a resource person, Dr. Lizzie Okeke, posited that the right choice of career is of fundamental importance as it can lead to a happy, prosperous, satisfying career and life, hence the need for carefulness of teachers and parents in guiding the students and children in that regard. The event featured a series of lectures on career in welding and fabrication, career in cosmetology, and career in orthopedic medicine, during which Engineer Ralph Akujieze, Mrs. Doris Nwokike, and Professor Peter Kachi made the students understand that one can succeed in life through skills. From Mata Amabli Secondary School, Umoji, in Idemili North local government area, I am Emmanuel Okonkwo, reporting for ABS News.
Southeast traditional rulers have called on all political parties fielding candidates for elective positions in the forthcoming general elections to address issues of basic concern to the country, ranging from poverty, social justice, equality of opportunities, the nation's economy, security of lives and property, to corruption. This was the unanimous call by the traditional rulers during the biennial delegates meeting of the Southeast Council of Traditional Rulers held at the Government House, Oka, Anambra State. Correspondent Emmanuel Okonkwo was there and now completes the story.
The meeting, which was an interactive section all through, attracted 40 delegates of the traditional rulers from the 5 states of the Southeast geopolitical zone, namely Anambra, Abia, Enugu, Imo, and the Ebonyi states, providing them the opportunity to rub minds and profile solutions to challenges facing them as traditional monarchs in their various states, as well as Igbo cultural heritage and the nation at large. In a communique, the traditional rulers urged the political parties to commit to a free, fair, transparent, and peaceful electoral process in line with democratic norms and practices, including the acceptance of the outcomes in good faith without rancor or violence before, during and after the elections for the interest of all. They called for mutual respect and harmony to be forged among the various Igbo organizations and forums and urged Ohaneze Ndị Igbo as the apex Igbo socio-economic organization to engender a united front and common purpose among the various pan-Igbo organizations as a basis for effective engagement with other ethnic national organizations in the quest to building a strong and united country that would guarantee equal basic human rights to all Nigerians. The group decried the activities of self-styled Ndị Igbo outside Igbo land in tertiary institutions and some churches who trivialize Igbo traditions by arrogating to themselves the titles, office, paraphernalia of traditional royalty, and canvassed for greater attention on the development and common usage of Igbo language, as well as the teaching of Igbo history and culture in schools as means of upholding and promoting Igbo heritage. Speaking, the chairman of the SECTR, Igwen Naimeka Achebe, encouraged the members of the union to always work for the collective goal and aspirations of the body and the entire Igbo land.
Then we can also put with our own state government and own state government. In Anambra State, we have a good rapport with the commissioner, the governor, and all of that. I still managed to find two such options and see and discuss with him.
On his part, the first vice chairman of the group, Igwe Samuel Mbuma, charged traditional rulers in the zone to hold their positions in high esteem and to avoid acts that could drag Igbo monarchy in the mud. In their remarks, the second vice chairman of the group, His Majesty Igwe Lawrence Agubuzu, and secretary of the association, Ezeagunwa Ohiri, reminded their colleagues of their primary responsibility as traditional monarchs, which remain the maintenance of peaceful coexistence and protection of the cultural heritage of the land.
Who is that person?
From Government House in Oka, I am Emmanuel Okonkwo, reporting for ABS News.
The Nigerian Union of Journalists and NUJ Anambra State Council has commended political parties for the peaceful and mature manner in which their primary elections were conducted across the country and advised them to sustain the practice in order to ensure success of the February 2019 general elections at the end of October Congress of the NUJ Anambra State Council held at Godwin Ezemo International Press Center, Oka. The communique was jointly signed by the Council Chairman, Comrade Emmanuel Ifesinachi, and Secretary Comrade Ima Udara. Contained in the communique also is a condemnation of the use of inflammatory and hate speeches, as well as pronounced high rate of vote buying by some politicians during the primary elections, and called for public education to check the incident. It uploaded the decision of the NUJ Anambra State Council to collaborate with the National Orientation Agency (NOA) and the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to educate the public on the dangers of hate speech and vote buying, which Congress noted was gradually creeping into the nation's political life. In order to check the menace, the Congress commended the Anambra State government, the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, for assisting communities in the state affected by flood and urged them to sustain the effort. It also commended the state government of its good works, but urged it to embark on immediate rehabilitation of feeder roads across the state to make them motorable in order to guarantee unhindered movement within the state. The governing board of the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS, has suspended its executive secretary, Professor Yusuf Usman, indefinitely for alleged corruption-related cases. Usman was first suspended in July 2017 by the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adole over alleged corruption, maladministration, and mismanagement of resources, but he was surprisingly reinstated by President Muhammad Buhari a few months after his suspension. Chairman of the board, Dr. Enyatu Efene, who disclosed this to journalists, said the decision was due to a barrage of petitions against the NHIS births by stakeholders and workers of the agency. She said the administrative panel has been constituted to investigate the allegations and other activities of the NHIS births. She further explained that his suspension will allow for unfettered access to the records of the agency to ascertain the truth behind corruption allegation against the chief executive of NHIS. She said the board consulted with all the stakeholders, including the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adole, before his suspension decision was taken. Meanwhile, the board has directed the General Manager Legal in the agency, Abubakar Damu, to assume the position of the Acting Executive Secretary pending the outcome of the investigation and other decisions that will come after. And still on the news, Nigerian state oil firm NNPC has extended its crude for product swap contracts, the country's main avenue to meet the bulk of its fuel needs until June 2019. Despite having a refining capacity of about 445,000 barrels per day, its plants have been underperforming for years, making Africa's biggest oil producer almost wholly dependent on imports to meet its domestic gasoline and diesel needs. Nigeria's gasoline consumption is roughly 40 million liters per day in the nation of almost 200 million people. The West African country become increasingly reliant on NNPC for fuel imports via swaps after a currency devaluation and recession in the last years, which priced independent importers out of the spot market. A spokesman for NNPC did not immediately respond to a request for comment. NNPC's swaps contract currently account for about 70% of the country's imports, while 30% is done through the spot markets, one of the sources added. The swap contracts, known as direct sale, direct purchase, came into effect in July last year and were due to end after 1 year. They were already extended once earlier this year into December. NNPC paired up foreign trading firms with local partners to do the swaps. NNPC is separately in advanced discussions with some of the swap contract holders to invest in rehabilitation of its refineries. Governor Willie Obiano has commiserated with Governor Kezie Ikpeazu of Abia State and the people of Abia over the heart-rending incident of fire outbreak that caused heavy fatalities at Osisiomangwa. In a press release issued by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Mr. James Eze, Governor Obiano lamented the untimely loss of so many lives in just one neighborhood at a time. The Governor regretted that the heavy death toll occurred at a time in history when life should be nurtured and preserved. While empathizing with the government and people of Abia State, Governor Obiano enjoined the people to always take precautionary measures in preserving life by avoiding occasions or acts capable of undermining the sustenance of life. He instructed that the sanctity of life demands conscious human efforts to keep life, especially at moments of need and trial. As the governor wished reports of the souls of the departed, he sent assurances of his heartfelt sympathy in his condolences to the bereaved families, while praying God to grant them the fortitude to bear the loss with equanimity. A depression off the coast of southern Mexico may turn into the 20th tropical storm of the East Pacific season by today, making 2018 one of the busiest years so far. If the depression, which has already caused showers and thunderstorms along the Gulf of Mexico, turns into a tropical storm, it will be given the name Vicente. As the system begins to intensify, flooding and mudslides will be the greatest concern. Thunderstorm could also produce some damaging winds in the region. By the end of the week, the risks of flooding and travel disruptions could extend to Acapulco and Puerto Escondido. Though through the weekend, there is still uncertainty on where the storm is headed. If the storm tracks further off the coast, heavy winds will remain offshore, but downpours capable of causing flooding, mudslide, and travel disruptions may occur. However, if the storm moves northwest parallel to the coastline, Mexico will be affected next week with damaging winds expected in areas from Baja California to the interiors of northern Mexico. The tropical storm may also hit the neighboring parts in the United States, including Texas, where widespread flooding has already occurred. Emmanuel Chibata is on with the sports news.
The Union of European Football Associations has said that the Russian club Rubin Kazan has been banned from European competition for one season. The ban is for breaching restrictions placed on the club under break-even rules known as financial fair play. The European Soccer Body said in a statement that the ban would come into effect if the clubs qualify for Europe in the next 2 seasons. It said that the decision was made due to breach of the settlement agreement but did not give any further details. UEFA introduced its financial fair play rules in an attempt to prevent rich owners from trying to buy success by plumping unlimited funds into clubs. Meanwhile, Arsene Wenger has indicated he will be back in football management at the start of 2019, but did not disclose where it will be. The Frenchman is here to take up a new position since leaving Arsenal at the end of last season. Wenger, 68, spent 22 years in North London, and there had been suggestions he would now look to retire. Wenger spent a year in Japan with Nagoya Grampus 8 before his move to Arsenal. He has also been linked with a move to PSG, working alongside boss Thomas Tuchel in a general manager capacity. Emmanuel Shibata reporting for ABS News.
Just before we go, a quick reminder that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any parts of the world by logging on to our website, www.absradiotv.com. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/ABS Radio Television and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ABS Radio TV. And now the recap of our main points. Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, has assured of sustaining rule of law in the country. Mr. Malami made the assurance at Abia prisons when he led members of Presidential Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy to a fact-finding visit. Southeast traditional rulers has called on political parties and candidates to address issues of poverty. For the second time, NHIS governing board has suspended Professor Usman as executive secretary. And on the foreign scene, we reported that fears of tropical storm Vicente has increased as some depression in the coast of southern Mexico is detected. And that's the size of our package this morning. Many thanks for watching. My name is Chidima Oranwa. Good morning, Anambra. Still continues.